Hi, welcome to the channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more narratives similar to these. Now let's proceed. Today's story video. Discovered that my wife was communicating with her ex for over a year. My wife and I have been together for 8 years and married for this period. She was with her ex for 7 years, but she broke up with him 2 years before we met. We are both in our 30s and honestly, married life has been wonderful. We had some tough times, but generally, our married life is good and we are both emotionally involved. About 6 months ago we were driving and she mentioned that her ex got in touch through text message because a coworker accidentally called him when he borrowed her phone number to make a call. That sounded weird, but I never thought more on that, as it's not the type of story you would make up. She said they just exchanged a few messages to update, and that was it. For context, they weren't friends and haven't had contact since the breakup, because he still had feelings for her and couldn't just be friends. Fast forward about 4 weeks ago, we were driving and she got out of the car to go to a store and left the phone in the car. I'm not a jealous person, but was right in front of me. I saw his name appear in the notification. Alarm sirens began to sound, but I trusted her 100%, so I just ignored her. And I never mentioned anything to her. About 2 weeks passed and I started to observe her behavior and realized that she was sending a lot of text messages and sometimes hiding my phone. As my anxiety rose, I decided confront her about it and ask if she was in contact with her ex. She openly admitted that they kept in touch by messages and that it was only occasionally. They shared details about what they were doing and funny things that happened. We had an argument about it and I told her that it wasn't right and I didn't understand why she was hiding it from me. She claimed she was subconsciously hiding because I knew I would be upset. But that was innocent. She offered to stop to text him if I felt uncomfortable. As I mentioned before, I have complete trust in her and I truly believe that she was innocent but was still hurt. I didn't ask to see messages because I didn't want to cross a border that could affect our relationship in the future. We agreed that she could continue to text him, but don't hide it from me. Anyway, the next night we were in bed and it was about midnight when I turned around and saw her messages. I instantly felt a tightness in my stomach and I asked who she was talking to. She said it was her ex and that they were just sharing information about our day. I let it go because I really didn't know what feel and wanted to take a break from myself. The next afternoon we talked about it and we agreed that this would become a problem, so she agreed to text him and let him know that they can no longer speak. I really appreciated that she listened and responded to the conversation, but I could see she was hurt. So I stupidly started looking online for signs. Read and almost cursed myself for not noticing sooner. This is what led me to review the phone usage logs. And what I found almost made me panic. I felt my chest tighten and I had trouble breathing. The message log showed this was happening almost every day for a year, from 10 to 40 text messages and images. Many times, late at night, at 2 a.m., while I was sleeping next to her. My heart sank when I inevitably thought that my amazing wife was cheating on me, at least emotionally. Based on the data, I wrote down some questions about when it started. How often did you text him? Did you meet him when you came back to visit his family? Does he live in the same city where his parents live? He called her and asked her to sit down, showing visible discontent. I informed him that I would ask a series of questions and demand brutal honesty. She looked confused, but agreed. I started with the first question, in which she claimed not to remember the exact time, but estimated it to be months. To the second question, her answer was a maybe, claiming that it occurred occasionally every other day. As for the third question, she categorically denied having met in person. I knew she was lying about the first two answers. Then, I presented the timeline and evidence demonstrating the duration and amount of messages exchanged. I argued that she couldn't claim a lack of memory for time and that it didn't seem like they were communicating all the time, mostly because they were innocent messages, like pictures of dogs and conversations about our joint activities, never flirty or personal. At this point, we were both deeply moved, and to be honest, I was almost breaking down as she cried incessantly. It was a terrible conversation. Then she told me I could check messages, but 2 weeks ago she had changed her phone number. She went to her room, still crying, took her old phone, charged it and opened it. She handed me the phone and walked into our room, continuing to cry. I didn't know what she would find, but my intuition said it would be *ting, reminiscing about the old days. Initially, I quickly scrolled through the messages to see if there were any explicit flirty messages or pictures, but nothing out of the ordinary came up. I then used their phone account details to see if any messages had been deleted and scrolled down to dates where their messages would continue until 2 a.m. while I was sleeping. It seemed that almost all the messages were there again, with an innocent character, like sending pictures of dogs at 2 a.m. I was confused, upset, and at the same time relieved. Now the messages were of a personal nature, involving our relationship plans, etc. However, I didn't want to pry that much, as I honestly felt bad and betrayed, but also invading her privacy. My heart ached from the disappointment that they had hidden their relationship from me for a year. I also realized that I loved her and still trusted her. We talked about it, we cried, and we discussed boundaries and how to move forward. Now comes the weird part. Over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we become more emotionally open, aware, and available to each other than ever before. It was like a light bulb went on and we realized how happy we were to be together and grateful for what we had. We have an amazing life, solid finances, hobbies, interests and dogs that make us happy. We value it so that we can truly appreciate what we have. Not going to lie, I still get upset and bring up my thoughts from time to time by asking questions and sharing my musings with her. It's like my brain is looking for warning signs because I can't believe I didn't notice this for an entire year. She took full responsibility and assured me that she would never do something like that again. She apologized and acknowledged how much she made a mistake and that she crossed the line. Be honest, even though I'm upset, part of me feels guilty that I asked her to stop talking to him, not because it was him, but because she needs friends and I know how important they are to a healthy relationship. I've never been jealous and I'm worried that the guilt of not realizing it has changed me and now I'm having jealous thoughts. Any advice to help me get over this faster would be appreciated. Honestly, I don't want to change and become possessive. Thanks for reading, I know it was a lot.